Okay, it is, I guess, technically 6:01, and I will call to order the Plainfield Charter Township Board meeting for June 8th, 2026. We'll begin our meeting with the invocation and the pledge led by me. So, Lord, thank you for bringing us together today. Guide our thoughts, bless our conversations, and grant us wisdom and unity as we begin. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Next item on our agenda is public comments. This would be a chance for you to speak to anything, any topic in the township. If you are here to talk about a specific item in our new business, there will be comment time when those items come up for us to take a look into. So at this time, is anybody interested in making a comment right now? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close the floor for public comments.
One more.
Oh.
There's one.
Okay, go ahead. I would go through the rules, but as you can see, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. It's
That name and address don't take part of that 3 minutes.
Well, you don't see the clock running.
Phil Edwards, 8319 Pine Island Drive, Comstock Park, Michigan. The second reading of your private road amendment today is part of a process to take away the rights of the homeowners on those roads. When you take away their voice, it enables few of us to have control at the expense of others, or few to have control at the expense of others. This is the direction Plainfield Township continues to pursue, it seems. I've watched residents at every meeting complain about everything from meeting start time to water bill structure. Is anything done? Not a chance. This is what we call an authoritarian municipality, where the township basically does what they want, regardless of any input from residents. Again, the legality is sketchy in these types of governments and challenged and often defeated daily. I think if you look at the federal level right now, it's got challenges on a regular basis. But as I look up here, I see a rubber stamp for whatever your planner or superintendent usually requests. There's little to no serious conversation to probe the true content of what your residents are really saying or the problems you cause them. If the township decides to tweak an amendment, as they say, it's pretty complicated and lengthy for a tweak. There will absolutely be no common ground to help or understand your residents' concerns. For example, if Verizon wants a tower where it cannot legally be constructed or the residents in the area do not want it, let's change the rules again. This process started late last year when it was apparent what those rules were and the direction the township needed to go to tweak these amendments. And it's been worked on ever since, line for line. The township does not take a chance in the future of anything that could provide the residents tools to fight unjust action by a few for profit. But of course, these rules change midstream and are more than that right now. So I guess I don't know why I'm here. I guess I hope you wouldn't be a rubber stamp and truly listen to us. If the developer needs to put these changes in place, I can understand. They need to be brought forth before construction would begin. For example, our home was built per the requirements put forth by Peter Elam and Stephen McKellar 13 years ago. And they were successfully done on the premise of what was needed to live there. Consequently, with these rules in place, that would be my last home built in the area. As many of us are senior citizens on fixed income, there's no way possible to fund any type of expansion in the future. We've built 2 homes on what we were told was needed per the rules of the township. I think on this issue, again, to change anything based on that would be legally questionable in the long run.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing no one else, I'll close the floor at this time for public comment, and we will move on to the review of our consent agenda. Without any questions, comments, concern from the board, I would seek a motion to approve our agenda, including the consent agenda, accounts payable, and the revised minutes.
I move to approve the agenda, including the consent agenda with a correction to the May 11, 2026 minutes and the accounts payable.
Thank you, Jack. Support?
Support.
Thank you, Kathy. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Ms. Beatty,
Yes.
Mr. Hagedorn,
Yes.
Mr. McKellar, yes, Ms. Morrow. Motion carried.
Thank you, Steve. Moving along to new business, first item is to provide a second reading and consider proposed amendments to the private road ordinance. You, Peter? Okay.
Nathan Inks from Bloom Sluggett is also here to assist with some of the more legal questions on this, but I'll start off by just discussing the changes in general and then a little bit of background. I'm not 100% clear, but from the public comment just a bit ago, but I want to make it clear, this ordinance we have here was not in effect when the Edwards came in to split their property. In fact, if it was, it would be unlikely that they would have been able to do something like that back in 2013. This was adopted in 2022, and in that time, we restricted the private road maintenance agreement, so everybody had to sign on, and then we also made the improvements mandatory for the entire road. We found that to be generally unworkable, not related to Verizon, but with other projects the township has dealt with, like Whitewood Farms, off of Chauncey and some other private roads over the years. So it's not something that we just thought of for the Verizon project. But I want to make that very clear. In addition to that, I'll go over some of the other changes that are not related to that. One of the things we have done is reduce the green belt requirement when it gets initiated to 10 feet instead of 35 feet from the side property line, to be more consistent with the zoning ordinance requirements we already have established. We've also done exceptions from the design requirements to address things where, like, you've got a culvert where you have to narrow it down a little bit, where you've got some grade issues where you might not want to do the grading that would necessarily have on a flat road, to deal with streetlights where you might not want a street light. Those things, we did not have any of that flexibility built into the ordinance. Now we have that administrative purview to say, nah, this doesn't make sense on this particular property, in this particular location. There are some standards we have to apply. It's not just arbitrary. And then there's always appeals to the to the township board in this case, if our ruling is incorrect or inappropriate, that type of thing. Also, we, as mentioned before, we eliminated the requirement that all people on the private road have to sign onto the private road and maintenance arrangement. What that effectively did is held it hostage to the wares of one single person on that road or more. But let's just say you've had a long-running dispute with your neighbor and they live in the front and you have 4 or 5 children and you want to split off their property, let them live there, that one person has total control of what you can do with your property at the back end of that private road. If this township was a newer private township with private roads, it would be a little easier to have these kind of more rigid rules, but because we developed the way we did with lots of private roads in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, with not a lot of consistent legal language, this works better for us, I think, and for the residents of this township as a whole. We also did the same similar thing with the maintenance or rebuild design of it. We still have the access, the fire department's driveway ordinance, which will govern this about having minimal standards in terms of emergency access for the entire road. But we do not, with this amendment, we're not proposing the entire road has to be improved its entire length. So if you live halfway up a 1.5 mile long private road, you don't have to rebuild this whole entire 1.5 miles. You just have to build up to your furthest property line. There might be some exceptions to that, but in general, that's how this is written. And in general, we just kind of cleaned up some of the language. We changed it from have a permit to approval to be more consistent with how we do things and that type of thing. I also like to defer to Nathan to talk a little bit more about some of the questions that came up during the first discussion of this project.
And before I do that, I want to highlight one new change that staff is recommending from the first reading based on comments that were received from the public, and that is to section 28-258. In the current ordinance and the original proposal, the ordinance would have retained the requirement that any property owners along a private road are responsible for maintaining that road. In the text that was prepared for the second reading, as was pointed out by a number of public commenters, now that the ordinance would allow for less than all property owners along a private road to agree to maintain the private road, staff thought that it was appropriate to remove the requirement that, or remove the potential liability on all property owners to maintain the private road if there is such a maintenance agreement that has been approved by the property owners and properly recorded. So if there is no private road maintenance agreement in effect, all property owners would still be responsible for maintaining the private road as they are under the current ordinance. But under this new proposed language, if you have a maintenance agreement where you have one or two property owners saying, I'm going to take on the responsibility for maintaining the road, then only they would be responsible for actually maintaining the road. And then in terms of broader policy considerations, some of which we discussed at the last meeting, I think it's important to underscore that this is not impacting any private property rights whatsoever. This only impacts how the township regulates private roads. If there are private property agreements between individual property owners, those still remain in place, those are still enforceable. This ordinance change has no impact on those whatsoever. And that would include existing private road agreements that are currently in effect and that are currently recorded. This only changes what the township will require of private road maintenance agreements going forward. If individual property owners want to include something in their private road maintenance agreements that is not required by the ordinance, they are allowed to do that if it goes above and beyond what the ordinance would require, as long as it doesn't conflict in any way with what's in the ordinance. So property owners are still free to go above and beyond in any way that they want, and this ordinance doesn't change that. It doesn't affect private property rights at all.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, if anybody has, or would like to make a comment about this issue, now is your time. Yes, ma'am.
Island. First of all, the road agreements that were in place years ago were not made to be signed by the realtor or the development of the road. So some of the people that we're talking about around 8319 never had to sign the road agreement, and it was never recorded. So that's their mistake. So we have to pay for changes. Our developer had no idea what happened 37 years ago and would not even exist 37 years ago. Making changes midstream after an ordinance was already approved 4 years ago seems wrong as well. We realize we are in the lower income bracket of Plainfield Township, and we want the whole township, you want the whole township to look improved, show progression in other areas, but we are senior citizens and do not have the same finances as other parts of the township. Without being grandfathered in on this road agreement, we cannot afford these very strict and very specific changes, as well as assessments going up, gas going up, food going up, and continual wars affecting our economy and our savings accounts. We feel like seniors are being pushed out and land ownership is not obtainable, but only for the young and wealthy in our township. The bottom line, it is not fair and it's not affordable for your seniors. Second concern was the first time that we built 37 years ago, there were requirements and we met those requirements. The second time we built 13 years ago in the same area, the fire department requested that we add an additional fire lane to the end so they could get around, and we did that. So every time things have been requested so that we could even move in, they weren't going to allow us to move in unless we did these things. We did those things. And this was a terrible winter. Our snow was melting the same time it rained, so it was, kind of a disastrous thing. And, but we took care of that. It's gravel, it's graded. We've done these things over the past 37 years that maybe other parties don't know about because they weren't there that long. Anyway, I just think it's unfair and we can't afford it. Second concern, why did fiber optics stop at 9 Mile Road and didn't go all the way to 10 Mile Road? We know why. This ordinance will make it possible for that tower to go in anyway. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hello, Doug Edwards, 8315 Pine Island Drive. Bring my notes up here. So sort of related, unrelated to the change in the private road ordinance, I want to let you know that it was already difficult to pull out in the mornings with the continuous flow of traffic. Where we're at the near 10 Mile and Pine Island on the northwest corner, you better get ready to go 0 to 70 real quick. Because remember that when 131 is backed up, everybody uses Pine Island between 10 Mile, Post, and West River to bypass highway traffic. I realize that this might be more of a road commission thing, but this is happening in your township. The intersection four-way on Pine Island and 10 Mile should have reduced speed limits, maybe that's proposed, and that it shouldn't just go from 55 to 15 and 15 to 55. Furthermore, I would like to add that our road that serves a handful of properties is always the one most burdened in the area. I bet since the four-way stop has been closed, we've had 1,000 people a day using our driveway to turn around with commercial vehicles, trailers, hauling stuff, trespassers, etc. Sometimes people think they can just cut over to Krupp from our drive. I was outside with my 15-year-old daughter a couple weeks ago shooting hoops, and some guy in a beat-up truck came up our road and turned around at my house smoking heaters with his shirt off. And I thought, great, that's exactly what I want coming back here. You probably also don't remember that when you put the water lines in, all the workers parked up our driveway and used it to store equipment well past the right-of-way. So as much as you want to change some of these ordinances for private roads, et cetera, I just want to make it known that we have done our part for the municipalities to move forward with quote-unquote improvements. I would appreciate it if you would show us some grace. We've got a lot of our own money and sweat equity invested into repairing your damage. We have a beautiful road that has served our homes for almost 40 years. And if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mike Wolford, 8255 Pine Island Drive. And as people have mentioned already, I don't think this was publicized enough with the number of private roads that we have in our township. And I think people need to be contacted. I think there'd be a lot more response here if people knew about it. People don't get the Grand Rapids press anymore, and there are a lot of us older retired people that aren't on the web page to get the information. I don't think that information went out the way it should. And then, as was mentioned too, is when these new ordinances come in, I think that the old should be grandfathered in. We are also retired. We don't have the income to put a lot of money forth, and our road is serving us well. And as it's been mentioned, we do maintain it. So I think that it should be grandfathered. I think if we're going to add a new ordinance, that should be for new private roads. I just think there needs to be more consideration here than to just let it go through without much consideration. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing no one else, I will close the floor for public comments, and we'll move on to board discussion. Pete, do you have anything before I start with the board?
Yeah, there was some comments made about this increasing the costs for the people who already reside on the private road. Really, the cost would be borne by whoever's developing the new lots on it. Really, this probably reduces those overall costs. It's intended to generally because it gives us a lot more leeway in terms of flexibility. It's essentially an attempt to get rid of some more onerous types of things for people so they can develop their property accordingly. Nathan, do you have anything you wanted to add at this moment?
Pete, if we could clarify that point, if nothing changes on a private road in terms of no new splits, no new homes, then nothing changes in
Yeah,
terms of
this does
cost.
nothing to.
Yeah, so
existing
those
private.
arguments are completely void and don't reflect what we're discussing tonight.
Okay, thank you. Jack, you want to start us off?
I met with Peter and Cameron earlier this morning to go over it, and we discussed the ordinance in detail. We also discussed the whole issue of Verizon now being defunct as far as that location, from what we can figure out, although they don't ever tell us anything. I find the ordinance to be both thorough and flexible, and I appreciate the work that you've done in it.
Thank you, Jack. Bob?
No comment at this time.
Thanks, Bob. Steve?
Peter answered my question.
Okay. Susan? Don't forget, yeah.
The arrangements with the fire department, Peter, are those, nothing changes with the fire inspections of the road?
No, generally, usually they have their own program at times when they go out and do inspections, at least I think they still do, but usually when we get an application, we'll have them go out and we'll ask them to go out and inspect it. And if there are things that need to be upgraded, they'll take care of it in terms of emergency access and safety. And quite frankly, those are fairly minimal. Most people do them out of hand anyways. So.
That's good to know. Verizon is not an active subject anymore, right? Okay, thank you.
Kathy, do you have anything?
I think my questions were answered. I'm grateful for the Verizon is not an issue, and my question was the impact of cost of the ordinance, and it sounds like that is mute.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, I would seek a motion.
I move that the Township Board adopt and enact the ordinance to amend Chapter 28, Article 5 of the Code of Enforcement as proposed.
Code of ordinances as proposed, not enforcement. All right, thank you, Susan. Support?
Support.
Thanks, Jack. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Beatty?
Yes.
Mrs. Morrow?
Yes,
Mr. Emminga?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. McKellar, yes. Mr. Hagedorn?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, item B on our agenda is to consider a joint agreement and a joint purchase of an outdoor warning siren with Alpine Township. Is this you?
Yeah, this will be me tonight, so thank you. So we were approached by Alpine, a neighboring community that we partner with on a number of things, and in the spirit of looking to serve the public in the most efficient way, Alpine approached us and said, look, there's a spot kind of on the border that is underserved in terms of outdoor sirens for their community and our community, and when we looked at it, it made a lot of sense for both communities to put in just one siren instead of two, and we could share the cost. And so that's what we're bringing to you. Put it on new business because this is not something we had planned on doing this year. So this is for our share, about a $16,000, $827 cost that we did not budget for this year. But we tried to keep this agreement as simple as possible. So Plainfield will pay half of the initial installation cost. It will be placed in Alpine in one of their cemetery properties that is very close to the boundary. And then they would be responsible for ongoing electrical costs, maintenance costs, et cetera. So we think that's the cleanest way to have a shared agreement instead of trying to figure out split electrical and that type of thing going forward. It wouldn't be worth the time trying to figure out what little electrical it has from year to year. So that's the agreement in front of you, just to protect Plainfield's interest. Even though we have a very long-standing relationship with Alpine Township, we've had joint water services, we're in a sewer authority for decades. Libraries, we have a lot of joint services with Alpine, and we have an excellent relationship, and I see no reason why that would fold, but protect Plainfield's interests. I did ask that should that siren be decommissioned in the next 10 years, the township would receive back a prorated amount. If it's decommissioned outside of being damaged in a storm or something, that would be outside of Alpine's control. So that is there as well. So what I'm asking tonight is approval to enter that shared use agreement with Alpine Township and the approval of the funds to pay Plainfield's half.
Okay, thank you. Any public comment on this specific issue? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close the floor for public comment. Board discussion. Kathy, do you have anything?
No, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, Susan? Yep. Steve?
Nothing.
Bob?
I'm pro siren, but I think one of the earliest things I proposed was hitting FEMA up, because I've worked with FEMA in the past, and they do have a civil defense, that's not the proper terminology for it, but it's Homeland Security or Civil Defense funds for stuff like this. And as long as that's available, might be a good idea to apply for one of those grants and see how much money you can get out of them. Just a thought.
Yeah, I've searched and I can't find any active grants at this time, but we'll definitely keep an eye open for anything that might pop up. So thank you for that.
Jack?
Yeah, I think it's good for the safety of the residents, both in Alpine Township and our residents.
Yes, agreed. So I'd seek a motion at this time.
I move to approve the joint purchase and installation of an outdoor warning siren to serve both Plainfield and Alpine Townships as presented.
Thank you, Kathy. Support?
Support.
Thank you, Susan. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Morrow? Yes. Mr. Reminga?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Mr. McKellar, yes. Mr. Hagedorn?
Yes.
And Ms. Beatty?
Yes.
And motion carried.
Okay, item C on our agenda is to consider a proposal from Prine and Newhoff for an engineering services agreement to increase current well, current well pumping capacity through the West Wellfield Optimization Project. Sorry.
You made it through.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Tom. I think you passed the frog over to me too. I get it in my throat too.
Your turn.
So this, I apologize for getting this on late, got this from our engineers Friday morning, but it's urgent enough that I felt we didn't want to push this off a month. As we've been talking about our water system and well field capacity, the board understands that our treatment plant can treat up to 16 million gallons a day, but we don't currently have that much pumping capacity. And so as a part of our long-term plan, we have the short-term step of increasing our pumping capacity of our current well fields to make sure that we can take full advantage of that plant. This is exactly what our engineers were talking about, getting the most out of the pumps that we have, the wells that we have in place by increasing the pump size. Eagle has finally approved it. It only took them 1 year, and it's not even a joke. We put it in May of last year, and they finally approved it this May. So with that, we want to get going right away. We'd start with the engineering and then see how soon that we can get to bidding this out and construction. But the faster we move with engineering, the faster we can get to the next steps along the way. So like your approval for the engineering services agreement, that's this step. Then once that is ready, then we'll go out to bid and bring contractor bids back for actual construction on the project.
Okay, thank you. Any comments on this specific item? Yes, sir.
Gerald Stepanovich, 4666 Weber. I'm going to go off topic real quick because I'm sure Mr.
Comments are limited to this specific item.
Well, it is
only.
a topic here, Tom, because we could not make it goes back to our 6 o'clock meeting start time, which you guys never seem to address That's all I'm saying. The traffic was horrendous getting here tonight. You can say that, and the deputy can reaffirm that. On to new business, Tom. So we're proposing to pay Prina Newhoff $175,000 to study, to hook up to, that's what I saw on the agenda, the meetings earlier, or the minutes that, Jack, thank you for posting on the agenda today. And what it said was in this, whatever the bid was, something like $175,000 to study the engineering end of it, and $2.5 million to increase the pump site capacity of the West Field. When the West Field, as we all know, our water quality sucks, and they're feeding, and you're basically pumping more poison to us. I mean, you guys have not figured out all the information that's out there. It's, you know, we're the second most toxic water well site in the state of Michigan. And we continue to be fed it by you, and we're continued to be investing money into it. That $2.5 million could be better spent trying to hook up to Grand Rapids water and feed us something and give us something that we can drink, rather than something I wouldn't even put on my lawn. But again, you know, it's gonna happen. You guys are gonna jam it through just like you always do. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll close the floor for public comment. We'll move on to board discussion. Kathy, how'd you like to start us?
I would just like to start by saying I am appreciative of those experts in this field who have examined and reviewed and are working with us to meet this future water crisis. So I am grateful for that, and that is all I have to say.
Thank you, Kathy. Susan?
I will also be thankful that this report came in on Monday morning and that it was put on this agenda. This is a priority, and I'm very, very happy to see the whole thing. It would have been a disaster, not a disaster, but it would have been so foolish of us to have to wait another month for the board meeting. So, good move.
Thank you. Steve?
I agree with both with Kathy and Sue. I'm appreciative of Prina Newhoff for doing their diligence, trying to get us more water out of an existing field.
Thank you. Bob?
I second what the chief says, and one of the things that I'm real adamant about, my wife and I are almost converted over homeopathic on most of what we do. And one of the things we do is we filter our water through solid carbon blocks. So it's not that our water's bad or Grand Rapids is bad, it's just that all water systems have challenges from the groundwater through the filtration. It's just impossible to get super, super pure water. Now, there might be some engineers that disagree with me, but I'll drink my stuff over just about anybody else's, but I'm glad that Prina Newhoff is on this.
Thanks, Bob. Jack?
I'm not here tonight to defend our water system, although everything within me wants to. I'm proud of our water system. It has basically cleared all the state requirements and federal requirements, and I know that the state especially does a lot of work to find out what's safe to drink. So at any rate, I'd say I'm not here to defend it, and then I defend it. So anyway, I'm in favor of this.
Thanks, Jack. I would just say that Kathy, Susan, and Jack just spoke very eloquently to where we are, so I have nothing further to add. So I'd seek a motion at this time.
I move to approve the proposal from Prina Newhoff for an engineering service agreement to increase current well pumping capacity through the West Well Field Optimization Project as presented.
Thank you, Kathy. Support?
Support.
Thank you, Jack. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Emiga,
Yes.
Mr. Coleman,
Yes.
Mr. McKellar, yes. Mr. Hagedorn.
Yes.
Ms. Beatty,
Yes.
Mrs. Morrow.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next item is superintendent comments. Cameron?
Okay, a couple items for you tonight. If you happen to go past 5 Mile today, you'll notice that the library has got a new construction project started today. Sue, did you notice that?
I just happened to see that. We live across the street.
So the parking lot is getting repaved. There's no good way to do that and keep the building operating, right? So the best solution is to do it in 2 sections, which you'll see. Part of it is being worked on while one part is open for parking. That parking lot was challenged from a capacity standpoint, even without closing half of it. So appreciate the work of our staff to coordinate with neighboring businesses to find out who would be willing to allow library patrons to park there. And so we've created signage that helps our residents understand where they may park and also where they may not park. So we've worked with our neighboring businesses so they may understand this parking lot is okay, this parking lot is not. And so you should see that signage up across the street and in different locations. It will still be tight. It's gonna be a little bit of a rough summer for the library. It's not a short project, especially because we're doing it in stages. If we could do it all at once, it'd probably go a little bit faster, but then you'd have 0 parking available at the library. And given all the summer programming that the library does, we didn't think that was in the best interest of anyone in our community to entirely shut down the entire parking lot for a month. So for about 6 to 8 weeks, we'll be going through this. So yeah, that's most of the summer, but watch out for that. If you're headed to the library, plan ahead. You may need to park across the street and walk just a little bit further. So we're all looking forward to that being over, but just starting today. So it is construction season in Michigan. So unfortunately, that's the nature of it. I don't want to steal your thunder if you're going to talk about this, but the other thing is it's almost LPGA week. So I'm going to leave it to Tom, whatever he wants to comment, but, and then Jack, I know you're a big fan of it too. Appreciate everything that they do for this community. There's a lot of coordination efforts going on to make sure that all these events run smoothly. Over the last decade, they have done a tremendous job of running a very, very large professional event in a way that if you didn't know there was a golf tournament going on, you'd hardly notice that, you know, what's going on. You might see a little more traffic here or there, but they do a tremendous job of organizing such a big event. So that's all I have tonight.
All right, thank you, Cameron. Board turn. Susan?
I am really excited to see the project at the library start. And one of the good things that all of us can keep our eyes open for, every year we have a sidewall at the end of the parking lot that caves in year after year after year. We waste so much money putting that together. And finally, there's a retaining wall coming. It's very smart, finally. And also, the main entrance to the library had a different surface, walking surface, and people were tripping on the bricks. And I know one lady who fell is the librarian, the head librarian fell one day. So we need these changes and improvements. And the other thing I'd like to tell you is that last Thursday, a person from LPGA came and talked to the seniors, a room full of seniors, learning about the LPGA project. And wow, there were a lot of people who had lots of questions, but the folks who were representing LPGA were full of really positive answers. And what Plainfield Township is amazing that a township of our size we're going to have 3 days of online golf channel. I don't want to say anything, Tom, because you know all you know all the details. But everybody in the room was definitely more informed. And we also heard about a person who lives in Blythefield who makes $2,000 parking people's cars in his front yard or something. So it was a very informative session. If you're not a member of the senior program and you qualify, that you can learn all sorts of good things. And anyway, it's my birthday too. Next, not today, LPGA.
Okay, thank you. Steve?
I just want to make a comment on the boulevards in the corridor. There was a lot of negative stuff on social media and stuff, but it was very over the past and about how the landscaping would not survive the winter and stuff. But if you drove by that and compared it to other other cities and municipalities that have those, I don't know if I'm saying the right word, but the boulevards. It was very pleasant that they had a very successful winter and came back and very beautiful out there. So hopefully it keeps going.
Okay, thank you. Kathy?
Yeah, I agree, Steve. It was really beautiful, actually, right now. I was in a meeting this morning about infrastructure and learned a lot about the coordination and the necessity of coordinating not only the road structure, but what's underneath and how many components and entities have to come together to do a road project or the water, sewer, the internet and all of that. And it is a marvel on how we do all that we do and coordinating with so many different, it's just a reminder of those roads that we drive over and don't even think about really have a complexity to them. And I'm just grateful for those, again, experts who know how to do that. So that's my educational moment for the night.
Thanks, Kathy. Bob?
I agree, the library looks, I'm excited about that because it was always a great place to have my meetings in, at no charge. And, but it's real impressive if people come into the area and they look at how nice that place is, you know. It's a place that you can take your kids and not be ashamed.
Thanks, Bob. Jack?
Yeah, I happened to watch the U.S. Open Women's Golf Tournament this weekend, and which Nelly Korda won. And what impresses me so much about the LPGA here locally is that all of the participants in that Open, which is a very intensive affair, 2 weeks later are coming to ours. And I thought, and a lot of them mentioned this is one of their favorite places to come. So I think that's great. The other comment I wanted to make is at our last Planning Commission meeting, on our agenda was a request for rezoning that the developers would build 56 units on the corner of Jupiter and West River. And we had a number of residents here voicing their opinions on it. So I just wanted to let you know that that was on the agenda for the Planning Commission. I don't know, Peter, do you want to add anything to that?
We expect them, well, we had a meeting with them. We went through a number of items they were deficient on. We are expecting them back in June. So,
Okay, thanks.
Okay, before I do my LPGA spiel, and I hope not to lose my voice, my allergies are raging, I apologize. I've addressed the meeting time situation a couple times after it's been brought up by residents. Unfortunately, the people who bring it up are usually gone at that time. 6 o'clock is our meeting time. It's established by resolution. It's been that way for over 5 years. I think there's a misconception about what these meetings are. This is the business meeting of the township. It is not a town hall. If you would like to read an article that came out of the MTA on how these meetings should be held, how they should be managed, all of that stuff, I'd be more than happy to share that with anybody who would like that. Be very educational for a lot of people. Okay, LPGA time. Everybody's kind of said a little piece of it. I'll go a step further. Some of our staff is involved in this. Our fire department's involved in this. The sheriff's department is extremely involved in this. We don't just pull this off on our own. This is a collaborative effort with a lot of different agencies, and they just all do an outstanding job. If you haven't been there, come. You don't have to even like golf. There's a lot of stuff to do. It's an inexpensive day, and hopefully the weather cooperates with us. I'm looking ahead and going, uh-oh, I better find my rain jacket, but we'll hope that doesn't happen. So come and enjoy a day or two there. And Sue, it's my birthday during that time too, so happy birthday. All right, with that, we're adjourned.